I said, give me a hell yeah!
All right, everybody, and welcome to a Double or Nothing previewing. Last Friday, Wednesday Night Warring episode of the Brothers of Discussion. We're going to talk everything from AEW's pay-per-view this Saturday, the future of Drake Maverick. Talk a little Owen Hart. See if my neighbors can hear this episode because my windows are wide open. That and much, much more. Matt, another spicy week of wrestling. This week did not disappoint. There was news galore. Some good, some very not good. But how are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great. Well, I mean, I know we're gonna transition into not good news, but I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, this is tough.
Well, people want to know what happened to your beard.
Jesus. Well, see, like I just said, it's such a not interesting story. I shaved it, and now it's not there, and now I'm growing it back.
You had a beard, and then I don't have one, so now we both don't have one. And I can't grow one, so you have to pick up the mantle, Matt.
But I'm still a hat guy, so I got a hat. I'm hat guy. So for
I guess I'll be monster guy.
Ugh, God.
All right, go ahead, man. Sorry.
Yeah, time for you to go play some Call of Duty, I guess.
Oh yeah, you want to play it tonight?
Some Doritos. Yeah.
All right, go ahead, man. Where can the beautiful people find us?
They can find us at bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com,
Yeah.
at BOD Podcast on Twitter, and on YouTube, and brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. And then for all the podcast listeners, we are on Apple, Spotify, Google Play. You can find all of the links actually on anchor.fm/brothersofdiscussion, Overcast, Radio Public, and Stitcher. We just got to start doing some stuff on Stitcher for like our premium subscribers. Also, we need some merch. We need to sit down and like have like an actual business meeting one of these days. Yeah, that's a t-shirt. We need merchandise. We need the Brothers of Discussion faithful have spoken. They
want some Matt beards.
Yeah, that's what they want.
Or some Matt hats.
We could do like a well, I am looking at some sweet ass hats that I've had like you know, you do like the what's it the I keep wanting to say demonstration like a you know, a fake hat. The hat, I don't have a hat, a mock-up. It's a cool
mock-up hat.
Brothers of Discussion with like a leather logo. But on this side, not on the back side. Just gotta figure out what I want to put right here. Or we could do something like we could make hats and T-shirts that say like Wednesday Night Wars, since we have those segments.
Ooh, yeah.
Things like we should be doing that. We should have our.
Let's get on it.
Yeah, we could call Pro Wrestling Tees, and the whole site will shut down. I don't know if there's a good
today.
There's not a good way to.
We just got to get it out of the way. There's
not a good way to transition into this. I think we would be remiss and we would be dopes if we didn't at least acknowledge the passing of Shad Gaspard and one of the most tragic stories I think we'll ever hear of somebody's passing. And I mean that for anyone we know. Shad and his 10-year-old son are getting swept away in a tide, and Shad makes the request for the lifeguard who's coming to take his 10-year-old son, and those were the last words spoken by Shad because he was never seen again alive. So Shad, of course, member of Crime Time. We've been seeing all the videos that were being shared. Really, just to me, eye-opening waste of his talent to be completely honest, because he was a guy that could go in the ring, and some of the stuff that's being thrown around, I wish that he could have had a few more respectable notches under his belt than what's being shared around, especially with the other story that's been shared by Bleacher Report today on social media was when he was in line, sharing a line with a criminal who had a fake gun, and Shad, after this criminal decided he was going to rob the establishment that they were both inside of, Shad broke up the entire robbery by taking the man's gun, which again ended up being a fake gun, and then he held him down to the ground. So this overall was just a noble human being, and even in the most dire of circumstances, still held on to his dignity and proved to be one of the. I don't know how you could, any story you could bring up that would say that you're a better human being than to be in that position. You're one of the best human beings, but to be put in that position and to do the thing that we all hope we can do, and now that story will live on forever. I don't want to make a joke out of this, but I'm one that would I relate to. There's a joke by a stand-up comedian that we both like, David Cross. He ends his current tour with this joke about somebody breaking into his house, and his reaction when he realizes somebody has broken in, and just the shit, like he's just about to die. He's not stepping up or manning up, but then he realizes he just sees himself in the mirror. It's a good laugh. It's a good joke by David Cross. That's how I imagine I would act, and Shad has had multiple occasions now that this other story of him acting during this robbery. Just a fantastic human being, and especially in these times when we're seeing, you and I both live in Michigan, we're seeing the worst of humanity come out. It's really sad that this is, for all of the, I don't know how to get into this part, but it's just, it's more tragic to know that some of the scum of the earth continues on, and Shad really was and proved it to be one of the greatest, a fantastic human being, and he's gone way too soon.
Yeah, I think the worst part about this is, like, all the stories about Shad are great. It's great that they're seeing the light of day, and the worst part is just the WWE highlights that we have to put together, because you see what a confident, moral, charismatic person he was in real life, and it never really got to translate into his his on TV character. He was known as part of the stable Crime Time, which we've had Vince McMahon have Mexican characters lie, cheat, and steal, and then they had black characters who were part of Crime Time, and they just had spinners and ridiculous chains, and it's a shame. So it's a shame that Shad kind of helped lay some of the groundwork for somebody like the Street Profits, who are now looked at as almost WWE like ambassadors, where they're on the show, not just selling their own match, but literally selling Monday Night Raw to the crowd, acting as stand-ins for the fans. And I think that's a job that Shad, maybe JTG could have got together and done. But at least with their efforts, we could kind of see where the popularity was, where the crowd loyalties, where they lied, and somebody like that. And at least it's benefiting, today's roster. So it's a real bummer that he, passed away in that tragic way. And, his poor kid had to see him like that. And it's a real bummer. So yeah, rest in peace to Shad there. Thank you for the memories. And Matt, I guess we'll try and get this all out in a row, but this week, Dark Side of the Ring produced another episode. This was the Owen Hart episode. Woo! If you haven't watched it, it's gonna crush your soul. You've heard it a million times. From people like Stone Cold Jericho, the greatest of all time, just talk about how much of a pleasure it was to know Owen, in the ring, know him personally. They had some cute segments. Jericho was talking about how he used to dream about tag teaming with Owen someday, and he used to draw pictures of himself and Owen Hart with the championship belts, and they actually found one of the old pictures, and it looked terrible, but it was labeled Owen Hart and Chris Jericho, and it was like Calgary, Alberta tag team champs. They kind of tried to tell the story of when he had his fall. The equipment that was used isn't the equipment you would want to use. It was something that would snap under 6 pounds of pressure. It's something that's supposed to be used on a sailboat, not to be carrying human beings like they were using on WCW with Sting. So it was, the detectives doing the work said there's no way this was going to support a 200-pound man. This was something that was designed to snap off with weight, because it's supposed to, when it takes pressure on a sailboat, release it, so the sail can go off into the wind if need be. So I mean, there's still some conspiracy stuff, about WWE, but I don't think that's really what you're supposed to get out of it. I think if anything, it just sounds like rushed ineptitude on WWE's part. I think the best part of it was we got a reason there, because you and I love the Hart Foundation, love the Hart brothers, and we kind of got an explanation for why we're never going to see Owen Hart in the Hall of Fame. Basically, his wife, Martha, was just saying that Owen Hart was a wrestler. He was part of the Dungeon, but that's not all his life was. He liked bringing joy to people. He liked bringing happiness to people. That's why we have this Owen Hart Foundation. And you go on that website, and it's literally, it's not like they just care about animals, or they just care about, feeding hungry mouths or getting medical supplies out to people, or just in the United States or just in Cambodia. It's literally the globe. They have they're contributing something positive all over the earth. So, I mean, I guess what she wanted to do is, not have his life be limited to the wrestling part, and not be limited to the one thing that she thinks, was his downfall. She thought these other characteristics of his, his wanting to help other people, be there for other people, show his generosity. That's way more important than making sure that the WWE, gets to pat itself on the back for adding this guy. And it kind of made sense. Like she said, she'd rather have his legacy be defined by his heart, the pun there, have it be defined by his heart rather than just his wrestling. So one kind of cool thing is, I know that you and I have talked about, well, that's great. I just wish I could kind of have something, to do that loudly and proudly, because I loved Owen. I think a lot of, wrestlers loved him. We talk about Kevin Owens being Kevin Owens because of Owen Hart and because of his son, Owen, who we named after Owen. They're doing something kind of cool. If you go on Pro Wrestling Tees, and I'm advising this now because I already purchased mine, but they're doing shirts that are just, the proceeds are all going towards the Owen Hart Foundation. And like I said, it's literally almost any positive thing you can think of that's going towards, zoos, feeding the hungry, first responders. They're literally all over with all these different projects. But they have Owen Hart t-shirts for a limited time. So buying those on Pro Wrestling Tees is, going to go right towards that. So definitely a documentary worth a watch. It's they've had really good episodes all the way through, but I wanted to see what they did with the Owen Hart one, and just another well done show, narrated by Jericho himself, and you get all the talking heads you'd expect, and most importantly, get to hear from the family. So they gave their approval, and they're excited to get those shirts out there and help out the foundation, because it's that's what their priority is right now. So.
Yeah. I mean, what I've seen over the last week, and I loved, because we talk about it now every year once we get to the Hall of Fame, and Mike, I don't play along. You ask me, so and so is being inducted, how do I feel, and then I go, I don't care. It's the WWE Hall of Fame. It's not a thing. It's just a TV show, and I couldn't have been more proud of Martha when she was asked about it, because that is exactly what she said. Was on comicbook.com, interviewed her, and she laughed it off. Like, what do you like? Why do I need to put him in the WWE Hall of Fame? It's not. There isn't a tangible thing for you to go visit, for you to touch, for you to experience pro wrestling. It's honestly just a list of names that it's an Excel spreadsheet for the WWE to figure out who's gonna put people's butts in seats. And I honestly, I'm going to be buying a t-shirt just because of that. I think that's something that people need to actually hear and realize, because it comes up way too often. When is so-and-so going into the WWE Hall of Fame? Who gives a fuck? That is such... you can go back, everybody. I've said it now a couple years in a row since the show started. Don't waste your time watching the Hall of Fame. It's not a thing. It's not like you can watch these wrestlers get appreciated in so many different other ways. Don't do it with the thing that's just trying to like eat up a few more bucks. But yeah, I all the respect in the world to Martha after hearing that, because just like, cool, now everything I've ever said about it is justified. Some more bad news. Ember Moon may have a career-ending injury. This is the thing. Do you say I might have a career-ending injury if you have a career-ending injury? I don't know if you do say that. There's rules out there, like when like I don't know what to do with this information, Mike. I feel like I'm saying it because it's the big news this week and Ember made it news herself. But like when my wife and I found out that she was pregnant, we had rules to go by. Of how long we had to wait before we made an announcement. So it's not like you make the announcement the day you find out. You wait, make sure you go see a doctor, see how things are going along, make sure the baby's progressing. I don't know what to do with this information, knowing that like it was her saying I might have a career-ending injury. I've never seen this happen before. I'm confused by it. Why you would make a maybe announcement.
Yeah.
It'd be really sad if it did happen. I just don't understand the making an announcement that I might be done. Just kind of weird from my perspective, and on a WWE YouTube show kind of thing.
I mean, it's one of two things. Like, it's either like in the moment she just is literally coming to that realization during the interview. Like, I might have a career-ending injury, or it's something where it's trying to garner interest, and they're all like, "No, Ember Moon, come back!" Making her like an underdog, because we know how they kind of butchered her booking as soon as she got called up. I mean, she did have a few nitpicky injuries that kind of kept her from being at the top, but she's never had a run at the top of the card for WWE at the main roster level. So
yeah,
actually, when I heard that quote, the first thing I thought was, oh, it's a work.
I mean, that's what I don't blame you for thinking that. We're watching a thing where, the injuries can be worked around. We're in the situation now, Mike, where a guy, we have to dance around so many different ideas, because we don't want people to think, like, I'm not saying anytime anybody says they're out that it's fake, or that we should consider it a work, or like something like that. It's just the choice of words being used in this situation, mixed with the idea that we now live in a world where Daniel Bryan and Edge came back. Why are you making a pre-announcement before knowing for sure? That's what's so confusing. Guys that their careers were over are now not over. So to make a pre-guess shoulder shrug, I might be done, just, I don't know. It's very odd, and the reason being is that when you make that announcement, like we've heard the stories now a couple times with Daniel Bryan and Edge most recently, of how many people they saw before they finally, like, they don't just see one doctor and go, my career's over. They see a ton of doctors. You gotta this is your livelihood. So just to be in that situation and go, I might be done, it doesn't sit well with me. I think there's the likelihood of something else going on here, and this is me tiptoeing around, like making sure I'm saying the right things here, but I think there is a better likelihood of something going on here than this just being Ember Moon, wanting to prepare us for her eventual retirement. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
you don't really want to prepare anybody for your eventual retirement, is what I'm saying. But
yeah, it sounds like you would either say it or you wouldn't. I don't think you would tease it if it was really the case. You know what I?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's a better way to put it. So yeah, kind of confusing. I don't know if there's too much to dive into after that, but we do have a lot to talk about. So I don't know.
the only other thing is I'd say like people like Kobe Bryant and Steph Curry had like injuries in that area, and those are injuries like in the 70s and 80s. You were done. And both those guys were back within 12 to 18 months, and like excellent. So I know those are like mega athletes, but you're it's an injury you can come back from. So it's not like it's an impossible thing. It's not. The medical knowledge is to a point where I think an Achilles she'll be okay. I know we were more concerned about spinal injuries. That still blows my mind that you could come back from a spinal injury. But Achilles is not as bad as it gets. So I hope it's a work.
Right. We could absolutely be speaking out of turn right now, and like this is the absolute worst Achilles injury. We don't know enough to speak on it. It's just the situation is just odd.
Yeah, like kind of produced television show by WWE, maybe at a career. It's just a
head turn.
Yeah, there's some other puzzling things that WWE, the company's done to a few superstars here. But Matt, did you get a chance to watch the Last Ride episode 2?
Nope.
Okay. I'm just gonna say you should watch it. I'm recommending it to you.
You should recommend it. All right, I recommend you guys watch it.
Just some really chilling stuff, Matt. Where after that, god awful Royal Rumble and Roman Reigns match, he gets his second hip replacement, and the footage of poor Mark Calloway, like his leg meat just being ripped up open, so they can put this little titanium rotating piece in his hip. You can literally see them take the drill inside his leg, and bone fragments are flying all over the place, and that big son of a bitch is ready to walk within like hours of this procedure. He's a machine. But I think the coolest part is he wants to get back in the ring. He wants to fight Cena, because that's kind of the story they're telling his return matches since that garbage one versus Roman. And his practice partner, because we get to see, remember Edge? They had that little video for his return, and he was going up against the Revival. Who was it? Dash?
Yeah, Dash.
Undertaker gets his practice in. He gets a ring built in his property, and he's wrestling, of all people, Primo from the Colognes.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. Primo's coming in, taking bumps for the dead man. So that was a really cool moment to see. That's who Undertaker trusted to help him get like back
Mike, you're not
shape.
selling it on me. So, come on, give me something. I got bone fragments and Primo.
And then the best part, I think, is they get the whole relationship down between Undertaker and McMahon, Vince. And Undertaker is always just very grateful and respectful of Vince, and this guy gets it. This is why I do this. I want to make him happy. And to see Vince's reaction when they say, what does the Undertaker mean to you? And he basically tries to, there's got to be a little theatrics because it's wrestling. You can't believe anything, but he definitely looks visibly choked up, and he's not able to answer the question. So I think that's kind of worth it too. So give it a shot, man.
Oh, I saw that one online. It's now
skip,
popular.
Skip it, man. You're good.
It's a popular GIF now. The GIF took care of it.
Well, we got to do the Wednesday Night Wars. We got to do Double or Nothing this Saturday. But Matt, I know you want to touch on one thing for Backlash, and they got a few matches together.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Just because your boy's in there.
yeah. I guess all you got to do, you got to win one match and then come out and watch Drew McIntyre defeat Baron Corbin, and then you get a title shot at Backlash. Just like if Drew McIntyre wasn't coming out and doing like, I mean, this has been the best performance of his career thus far. He's got so much
I would
charisma,
say of a champion.
And
I would say of a heavyweight champion. I can't remember being this like enamored of a champion. Like Drew, when he likes doing the 3-2-1, with the crowd before he lays the Claymore down.
Yeah. I like his new T-shirt. It's actually like, that "Talk Less Claymore."
Yeah, that is a good one.
I made the mistake of pre-ordering his last T-shirt because I was trying to show my McIntyre fandom. I'm gonna wait till they do another one of those So I bought it. Then the very next day after it was fine, so you couldn't pre-order it anymore.
Yeah.
Then they did a 50% off sale. So it was like,
son of a bitch.
I bought it. Paid $30 for it and to get it shipped, so it was like $45. And then the next day they're like, "Oh, it's $10 now. So do you want another?"
Well, I'm sorry I have to, man.
But no, you're right. I mean, this is for me. It's hard to measure because I'm such a Drew McIntyre slappy. Like I could feel this coming back in December, and then he gets the win at the Royal Rumble, and it's honestly, for a huge Drew McIntyre fan, this is as good as it gets in pro wrestling when your favorite guy, who's been pushed down for so long, gets a shot with the title.
The rightness of it is like right up there with like the Fiend debuting at SummerSlam, where it's just this is exactly everything is going according to plan. I just can't get over it when Drew when he does the countdown and there's no crowd. So now it's like he's just doing it for himself. Oh, come on, Drew. 3, 2, 1. Let's get this son of a bitch. And he just starts charging across. I just love watching him fire himself up with his own countdown.
He does an amazing job with these the crowdless shows or the audienceless shows. He knows exactly what he's doing out there, and I feel like he's going out there and just going, "I'm going to try this," and it just works because he's coming in with all of that confidence and charisma. But yeah, so Bobby Lashley takes down R-Truth. That's who you got to take down before you get your shot at the champ.
He's a stepping stone. He's a championship stepping stone.
But yeah, I mean, it is a great pick for Backlash for Drew McIntyre. Another match where it's nice. Let's give Bobby Lashley a title shot. I saw a lot of people on social media saying, "Finally, Bobby Lashley getting a shot," and I'm like, what standard do we have anymore when we're saying finally Bobby Lashley gets a title shot? Like, come on.
I know the announcing will
so far down the list.
What's the word? Selectively, forget certain feuds and matches and things like that and win-loss records. But I honestly can't think of Lashley getting like a one-on-one match, and I haven't clamored for it because his character doesn't do anything for me. I mean, physically, it looks like somebody who's actually going to give McIntyre a challenge, but I want more of this MVP building him up. I think that will help me. It'll garner more interest for this match, for this feud, because we know Bob can't speak for himself. So maybe MVP can do the talking for him. Maybe he can speak and talk for me too. The other match, Matt, what I really like is they're pushing this Edge and Orton feud. It's like, Edge, we're not putting you through the roster. We'll just put you with your best buddy in the whole world. They're gonna wrestle they're dubbing the greatest wrestling match of all time. And Matt, what I just really like about it is usually in these kind of feuds, they'll start with wrestling and then kind of derail into chaos and violence and weapons. But for this to start with the most violent match they could think of, and then go to a wrestling quote unquote mat wrestling, it just puts a little bit of a unique spin on it, knowing, you know, like what's in the back of their mind, what it might have to take to win, you know, the greatest wrestling match of all time. So it just sounds like another good way to build this story.
Yeah, this is twofold for me. One, this is a big middle finger to everybody that complained about the WrestleMania match. I feel like I'm the only one in the world that was on the edge of my seat. And I remember like talking about it right after, and I gushed about it to my wife, and she didn't watch it. But then even us getting together and then talking about it on Twitter, and like the whole world was on the same page, and like, man, that fucking sucked. And I was sitting there going like, that was great. Like, we just got the fight from They Live for like a half hour. I fucking loved it.
It was a little moany. It was a little long.
But
I would have probably chopped off like 10 minutes.
Here's the thing: is I loved it. So now they're dubbing this next match the greatest wrestling match of all time. I feel like it's a big fuck you to everybody that hated that match. They're like, fine, you don't like like some drama and storytelling mixed with weapons, then this is what we're gonna do. And then I say it's twofold because that's one where I like the idea that they're giving the middle finger to everybody that had that initial jump reaction to that Mania match. But the number two is I am so interested to see what the greatest wrestling match looks like. Are they just gonna be doing finishers? Are we really gonna get like Edge, like, I don't know, like what can he do? Are we gonna get like a 7-star match? Like are we all gonna be looking to Meltzer after this, going like, huh? So 6.25?
What I'm hoping they do is they get Edge and Orton fitted for singlets and those little soft pillowy helmets, and then they can really, like, you know, mat wrestle each other with those black sneakers on and black socks. Like that's what I want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I mean. I can't wait to find out what this means. And I gotta say, I love Drew McIntyre. I think we're all waiting for The Fiend and Braun Strowman to get booked, which that might be a SummerSlam match. But man, we're about to talk the AEW match card for Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I don't know if there's anything I'm as excited like to see what the greatest wrestling match of all time looks like for Edge and Orton compared to anything on the. And that's not a shot at AEW. I think the marketing or the idea, the build behind that idea, like behind the just giving it already the title of the greatest wrestling match of all time. Like I'm giddy to think like, oh my god, are they really gonna like give us a show? Is this really gonna be the one we talk about for the rest of our lives, or is there something else that we're gonna be able to make fun
of? Maybe singlets and helmets. Singlets and helmets. That's what I want. I want points. Like I want points going either way. You know, that's what I want. Well, hey, let's move on to the Wednesday Night Wars, then we'll jump in that big old pay-per-view this Saturday. Because if we don't visit each other, AEW is getting $120. Woo! From the Brothers of Discussion. Matt, I took NXT this week. You got AEW again. I think AEW won. So I'm going to do moment 3 here from NXT. Matt?
Mike.
It was very puzzling. It was Dexter Lumis fighting Roddy Strong. And I was watching this match, and I knew, I thought, okay, Dexter, we're building this guy up. We got a new monster. Because we're kind of losing some monsters. I don't know if guys are getting called up. We're getting resituated. And Roddy just took him to school, wrestling-wise, with the chops, with the full moveset, all his backbreakers on the outside of the ring, on the inside. His Olympic slams, his submission moves. It's just, it's Roddy. He's one of the best. And Lumis was coming out there with like generic bulldogs. He had a headlock. He had I'm going to throw you at the ropes and then do a back body drop on you like Ric Flair style. And I was kind of, I don't know what we're really getting out of Dexter, but the good part was the story afterwards when Roddy did get the win. And I was like, well, that makes sense. Roddy's a much better wrestler. And then Dexter snaps, puts him in this kind of weird chokehold where he's petting Roddy on the head, kind of like a chinchilla. And the Undisputed Era comes out and just starts peppering him with kicks. And he acts unfazed by these kicks. And then, our boy Adam lines up the last shot, and that's when Velveteen Dream comes out. So I put it as moment 3 because I was really excited to see Roddy actually triumph in this match where I thought he was supposed to be getting Lumis over. And Dexter Loomis's character, Matt, is that he's going to be Dexter, the murderer, because multiple times Morrow mentioned Dexter with a dark passenger, not unlike Dexter the killer. So I guess if you're a fan of the hit TV show Dexter, you're gonna like Dexter Loomis. Matt, moment 3 from AEW. What do you got?
I really, like, I'm thinking about this show. There really isn't a top 3 for this, so I'm just going to throw out some moments. But it's important to mention that I saw on Twitter people complaining about the first half of AEW being a lot of talking. But there was a good reason for that. It's a go-home show for Double or Nothing.
Yeah, we're not getting people injured the 2 days before the pay-per-view. Come on.
We lose, I believe, Matt Jackson. We're losing Britt Baker, who had, as I put it, 2 tons of Nyla Rose thrown onto her knee. And Rey Fenix goes for a suicide dive, only to have it turn into a suicide dive because nobody was catching Rey.
That looked really bad. Yeah.
So, what was good? I really liked, MJF giving Marco Stunt a shot at, really showing off his stuff. When Marco Stunt is having to go up against like Brody Lee and Wardlow, it's just, it's hard to watch. But then I do like the cockiness of MJF getting involved. So that I'm just gonna put that as one of my moments that didn't end in complete devastation.
Matt, moment 2 for NXT then. I'm going Rhea and Io. It couldn't be number 1 because if you're a schooled wrestling fan, you knew Charlotte was coming out to interrupt, and she did. But I think a few times, like Rhea's last couple matches, she's almost Dolph Ziggler'd herself out of contention. Like she's one of the best. Honestly, you know what? Fuck it. Rhea is the best seller I could think of in the women's division. She's so good. And Io was like hitting all her moves. Her Tiger Fane kick looked incredible because of Rhea. Like it didn't even look contrived. Sometimes the way it can, it felt like a natural spot for Io to take advantage of that run as, Rhea was kind of drooped over the ropes to eat that kick.
Yeah.
The Suicidas just looked so great, and then Io did some great like Ric Flair heel work where she just raked the back of Rhea, and Rhea just sold it like she just did the ice bucket challenge, like and then she kind of whipped around and did the iconic said that, "Oh, you joking me?" And Rhea whipped around and said, "Oh, you kidding me?" So I don't know if it's like this Australian thing that's "Are you blanking me?" But it was pretty funny. And I'm pumped to see the payoff. I hope one of them can triumph over Charlotte. I know you don't. I don't personally need to see Charlotte as my NXT Women's Champion. Rhea and Io gave a fine reminder of why they're the class of the NXT Women's division. And they're arguably 2 of the better performers under all of WWE's women's umbrella. So Matt, it brings us to moment 2 from AEW. What you got?
Another quick shout out to kind of a fart sandwich for this show because it's more the direction they should have gone in. That Jake the Snake and Arn Anderson was just not fun. I don't think I am a part of the generation that really gets going for that, but it didn't really do anything for me. But I'll put on the good list is Orange Cassidy and Rey Fenix because the start of that was fantastic with Cassidy getting out of the way of those kicks. Unlike was that a week ago or 2 weeks ago that he really got fucking rocked?
Well, that's just a week ago.
That was okay. So but you get to see Orange Cassidy and I be Orange Cassidy and I saw it summed up online where it's like, can you believe like this is like one of the best opportunities we've had to see Orange Cassidy, and we met him a year ago, kind of thing. On AEW programming, he comes out in that that Royal Rumble type match that Double or Nothing had. if there's any good thing to come out of this AEW show, it was something like that. But
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I think that people see Orange Cassidy, people who don't watch AEW, and they think he's just there being ironic and making fun of wrestling. But the only reason that gimmick works is he actually can wrestle. Like he's a really good, cruiserweight. He's super athletic. His top rope stuff is top notch. Like that's the only way he can get away with doing it with his hands in his pockets, is he's that good. So I think you're great. I think this was a great showcase for him, and for me, another reminder of how good Rey Fenix is. Where I would put him up there with Rey Mysterio. I think that sometimes JR fumbles over that name sometimes, but besides being both luchadors, both being first name Rey, Phoenix is that athletic. When he does those flips off the second ropes instead of the top, so he's got to like get his legs up. It's so like visually impressive as a viewer. I thought that was a really entertaining match. I liked it a lot.
It's your number one?
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it's just the shock of the outcome, but Drake Maverick winning again. So now he has set himself up to be in a triple threat between Jake Atlas, and he's going to fight Kushida again. And then the winner of that triple threat will win Group A and then go into the finals to fight for the Cruiserweight belt.
Yeah, very, very fun way to set up. Like, honestly, I would give the win to NXT this week because of that match.
It really was an A+. Like, Maverick is like as good as I saw selling from Rio. That's what Drake was doing when Kushida was locking in his arm. And he sold the broken wing, for the last like 10 minutes of that match. But he was screaming like bloody murder every time it would get into a submission move. It was never like, it was like these shrieks, these, guttural shrieks. And it really, like, I was like, oh man, it's all over for him. Kushida's the favorite. He deserves it. They're going to push this new guy, and damn it all, man. Drake overcame.
Yeah, this is what we always want out of these tournaments, and the round robin stuff is genius. I love it, because the last thing you want to do, because I think Impact Wrestling just announced the tournament, is to just sit there and go, every promotion has a tournament, and it's all just working out in the same exact way. This, I don't know, it's genius, and I hope there's more round robins like this going forward. It gives you so much more, I feel, to do storyline wise than just win loss. Like this element of stay in or play spoiler once everything's done. Like, they didn't do that for every match, and you're not just playing spoiler because you're rated lower than the person you're facing, or they're the veteran. God, there's so many fun things to do with that, and I really like it. It goes back to this element of what AEW wanted to do with records and have like a power ranking that actually mattered.
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of thing that they're missing right now. Like having, we do our hockey podcast, the Discussion 5. Anytime the Detroit Red Wings, who are having one of the worst hockey seasons in NHL history this year, anytime that they could take down one of the top teams, it was always like they took down the Bruins a couple times this year. And if you're not a hockey fan, they're one of the best teams in the league record-wise. Took them down twice this year. And it was like, man, those are the highlights of the whole season. And you go back and watch the replays of that because your shitty team beat up the best team in the league. Those are the types of things I think are missing from AEW. But I don't know if you want to keep jumping in, or I could jump into number one here.
No, it just the last question I was just going to ask you is Drake, is his WWE career really over?
Well, so EC3 just posted a bunch of stuff online about Rockstar Spud, and they've got t-shirts they're selling together, so they're posting on Twitter, so to kind of get the look behind the curtain. I do think his career's over with, they're going to have a heartbreaking finish. But it's still fun. It's still fun to see it go.
It's just weird to, I love watching his story. It's just so weird that it feels like whoever defeats him is just going to get heat.
Yeah, I think this is an opportunity.
You're elevating a guy who's going to leave, so.
it's an opportunity for Jake Atlas, I think, to turn heel. I didn't like his baloney talking down to Drake, and Drake just had to nod like a month ago. I thought that was horrible. But I mean, yeah, there's an opportunity here. You hope they take advantage of it, kind of thing.
Yeah, it just means that they don't do that for everybody. Hi Rusev. They arguably did it for Moxley, who we're going to talk about in a minute. So it's just,
you know what it is? It goes to show folks that you got to treat your employers well, even if you fucking hate them, because Drake only had nice things to say. He did everything that company asked them to do, getting family members involved and really looking like a little weenie sometimes. And then there's Rusev, who, I'm not saying he went about it the wrong way, but now we're talking about what are the benefits of not doing the Rusev and complaining on Twitter literally every day. Not being the Revival, not having to like shave your back on TV because you're complaining on social media like every day. I think it's pretty obvious that they see that stuff, and the way Drake handled wanting to, or I guess his departure from the company, seems to be working out pretty well for his character. And when he hits the indies, he's going to be a super duper star.
Yeah, good for him. Matt, number one from AEW, what you got for us?
Yeah, well, I'll just run through this real quick because we're going too long. But you got to go with the end of the night. If it's not for a pretty compelling, if not horrible ending, but pretty compelling Matt Hardy match where, god damn, if it isn't tough to watch him walk around with that dump in his pants. I know a lot of folks get excited when Matt Hardy comes out, but holy shit, man, he does not.
Yeah, he doesn't hit the ropes well because his body doesn't move anymore.
Yeah, like I get it. Like we all appreciate the work he's done, but don't kid yourself, everybody. I mean, I'm just being honest when nobody's asking me to be, so I don't know why I'm choosing this as the moment to say it because I actually enjoyed that match. But it is hard to watch Matt Hardy matches because his body doesn't move. So that was fun. But the moment of the night was watching Hangman Page run 100 yards.
Oh my god. That was such a great spot. I love that so much, seeing that little figure in the background just... Yeah.
I watched it first on my phone because that's how I watch AEW and NXT is always on my phone. I couldn't even see anybody coming. So that was the way to watch that. So all I saw was nothing, and then all of a sudden Hangman was like right there. So it worked for me. But I could tell, I know why everybody else was making fun of that because you just... see it happening. You can tell Hagar's waiting for it. And I think he's getting direction from either Matt or Nick Jackson. So it was just kind of fun.
Excalibur made sure to point out the cowboy out there in cowboy boots. I was like, oh, shit. You know how hard that is to go like 20 yards running? He just went like 100 yards and hit a devastating clothesline. I would have slipped and fell on my ass. I don't know if that was all one take, but I was impressed. That was pretty cool.
Give him a beer. Give him a beer next time. Have him run across the field. Keep that beer.
Give him a beer in one hand and like an egg and a spoon in the other.
Yeah.
That'll really impress me. And then have him smash the egg on Jericho's head or something.
We're going to keep talking AEW, Mike. We're jumping in, but we're going to have to make some adjustments here based on some injuries. But
time constraints, too. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's jump in. Buy-in pre-show for Double or Nothing. Private Party versus Best Friends. So this is interesting for me. I'm one that is watching the tag team division, and I still, God, I'm not getting up for this match. It feels like for the tag team division to really get my goose going, I need like Kenny and Hangman involved. I need the Young Bucks involved. Like it is great that they're giving them wins, and these tag teams and SCU face each other, in the middle of every AEW Dynamite. But god damn, I really don't. I'm not excited about this match. But maybe they'll tear the roof off Is there? Nope. There's no.
I'm gonna look at it as like, a New Day versus Street Profits. Just kind of a fun, athletic contest. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna be long. It'll probably be like 10 minutes, if that. I just, at this point, the way they push the best friends and, they get their big hug and Orange Cassidy. This smells like a best friends victory, and we're getting Private Party back on TV. It feels like they've just been gone.
Yep.
They were fighting for the championships. Were they champions? And now they're just off the face of the earth. So I don't know if it was COVID related, because it definitely looks like, based on how massive this card is, we have like a 9-man ladder match. We have a battle royal. COVID concerns is out the window. But Matt, for this match, give me the best friends.
Well, Mike, do we think we're actually going to get a win for Shawn Spears? I think so. I think he's gonna win. Going over Goldie or Dustin Rhodes. This one I thought was so funny with the way they handled his promo, doing that breaking news report. I couldn't help but think of the John Krasinski Good News show. Good something or other. John Krasinski has a YouTube show where he just talks about good news during the pandemic. I thought it was kind of cute that was the direction.
Well, Matt, I need you to carry the show for 45 seconds. I'll be right back.
Oh my god.
Be right back. Sorry.
No, I'm gonna run through all these matches then, folks. So. Why should Shawn Spears win? He should win because he's been putting on a pretty good show. This is a guy that came in as someone that was supposed to make some big strides or some major strides, and we were all begging. And I say we as in actually quite a few folks that aren't me, but we're all begging as pro wrestling fans for him to get a better shot in WWE, and then he comes to AEW and he loses a lot of his major matches. So
hey, I'm back.
Well, let me finish my thought, Mike. Jesus. So Shawn is due this victory, and I think they're putting the right type of grease on the old. See, now I'm losing it now that you're back. But they're greasing this up pretty well with what's with Dusty coming back kind of and probably retiring. So I guess I shouldn't call him Dusty. Dustin. But yeah, that's the direction we got to go, Shawn Spears. You ruined my momentum, Mike. But so who you got on this one?
If Dustin Rhodes wins, I guess Shawn Spears asks for his release. I mean, at this point, come on, man. Give the guy a victory. I don't need to see Dustin Rhodes win ever again. He should be there to get over the Shawn Spearses of the world.
Yep.
And this is no exception. Give me Spears.
All right, next one might not be happening. So Britt hurt her knee pretty bad in that tag team match last night, but if it does actually happen, this is a Britt Baker win, I think. Britt's someone that they've got to start building up as like a major heel in the company, and Statlander will still be Statlander. I don't think she's someone to carry this division. I don't think she's winning the title anytime soon. So you think she's winning the title soon?
Not soon, but I honestly was going to comment that we just got another reminder Wednesday night. I think she's a really good wrestler. I don't know how far that alien gimmick is going to go. When I first saw her paint, I thought it was that PlayStation 4 video game with the red-haired lady, and she shoots bow and arrows, and she rides robot dinosaurs. That's what I thought she was going for.
What is Horizon Zero Dawn, right?
Yeah. I honestly think that, if God forbid, there are a couple injuries that Chris would be able to stand in and, be a champion. I haven't really heard her on the mic.
Yeah, you can't say.
But I feel like her.
Well, if there's like 12 people that got hurt, she'd be right there. She'd be right at the top of my list.
Like Britt Baker's, a more charismatic person. We've seen it. We have objective evidence we can point to. We just don't have it yet with Chris. All I have is I know she's, put on pretty impressive matches so far, and I want to see more of her. I guess is what I'm going with this. So hopefully Britt is just got a tweak. Hopefully she's not going to be on the shelf for a while because it felt like she is, like you said, she's like the only woman who's getting like a non-title story that's compelling.
Yeah.
And it's all based on her heel work. So Britt should go over. Let's build up, some characters. And they need wins in addition to good promos. So give us Baker as long as she can go. Man, that moves us to MJF versus Jungle Boy. And I thought MJF had a pretty fun match with Marco Stunt. I know you didn't like it as much as I did, but I like that spot where he made Marco pick his own nose and then eat his own booger. I thought that was pretty funny, but I have the maturity of an 8-year-old. So MJF is right up my alley.
Did I say I didn't like that match? I don't think I said that.
I know you didn't like it as much as I did.
Okay.
That I can guarantee.
Sure.
But I think that we could almost copy and paste the same opinion for Britt Baker to MJF. Like, yeah, I like seeing him be a heel, but I need to make sure he leaves these pay-per-views with victories, and this should be no exception. Jungle Boy, at the drop of a hat, he could be one of those, exactly like Statlander. We had some injuries. You're going to be a weird underdog champion for like a month.
Whoa! Oh my God, Jesus! All right, now you're talking crazy.
Hold on, not the AEW champion, but maybe that TNT champion. Let's see that TNT television champ. Jungle Boy, he's pretty good. Pretty good.
Hot takes are flying. Yeah, not much to dissect on this one. Give me MJF.
All right.
Casino ladder match. I gotta go Luchasaurus on this. I think if there's anybody that needs like that step up, he's stuck right now with Marco and Jungle Boy, and I don't know if that's the best spot for a guy that gets the entire crowd on their feet. And because Jungle Boy's great, Marco Stunt's great, but when they're out there, the Jurassic Express, like they're not going crazy if Luchasaurus isn't out there. I think that we were critical a year ago of Luchasaurus because we hadn't seen everything that he could do, but I think he's proven that and more. Like he does good promos, and he's athletic as hell, and this is an opportunity for AEW to have pretty giant guy in the spotlight, and maybe a competitor for Brody in regards to size. So give me Luchasaurus. I gotta say too, there's a little baby bunny like right in front of me, and it is uber distracting. I mean, a baby
you need to
bunny.
Take a picture of this baby bunny.
I don't know if we did
everybody involved in this, but it's Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Ray Phoenix, Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, Frankie Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and mystery competitor. Matt off the bat, Colt Cabana, out. Orange Cassidy, out. Ray Phoenix, is he wrestling? I'm going to say out. Scorpio Sky, out. Kip Sabian, out. Frankie Kazarian, out. Luchasaurus, out. Matt, I'm narrowing it down to 2 people. Darby Allin and mystery competitor. They want to push Darby to the moon. He has continued to lose to Cody, and I think you can almost call him Rhodes now. I think they almost have the copyright all worked out. It's either Darby or mystery competitor, if that can be Pac. Rub those hands together.
You don't think
Matt, you
don't think it's Rusev making his way over?
No, he's got his 90 days. He's probably got to wait.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Well,
so give me Darby, mystery competitor. That's my 1-2.
So we've got Matt Hardy and the Elite versus the Inner Circle. I do like the spot, so I stole the match card from CBS Sports. How far down the list this is, because I do hope
This is going to close the show.
It will.
It
should.
It might just run in the background the entire show. I don't know what's
It's going to close the show, but it should either be your AEW World Championship or this match that I'm going fucking nuts for, which is Cody versus Lance Archer. But this should be an Inner Circle win, I feel like. Like something, they have opportunities here for Matt Hardy to realize he's not really a member of the Elite. Hangman, he doesn't want any part of this. No more. Something to kind of break things up. Like this seems like an opportunity to tell some future stories. Because does this really end with the Inner Circle losing and the Elite stand tall? I don't know if that gives us enough going into the next week.
I don't mind building up the rest of the Inner Circle. I feel like the Elite, Matt and Nick Jansen.
You got everything wrong there.
Mac and Nick Jansen. Those guys never need to win again. Over. Kenny Omega never needs to win again. Over. Hangman Page would be best served turning, just either abandoning the match or, that's going to be the most effective use of him. Not him getting, a buckshot from 400 yards away. Like he's running all the way from like a triple-decker parking lot and then across the 100-yard dash and then a clothesline, which actually would be a pretty cool spot. Matt Hardy absolutely does not need to win. But I think the Inner Circle, like the Santana and Ortiz's, the Jake Jack Hagers, the Spanish God, I think any of those guys should get the win. None of the old guys. So I think it should be the youth of the Inner Circle to really build up this faction. That would be the best use of the time and the spot on the card. Give me the Inner Circle.
Yeah, now I'm going to say I want the Inner Circle to win, but what's probably going to happen is the Elite's going to win. All right. Women's Championship, Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida. I don't know if it's time to turn the title over. I think Nyla is going to hang on to this. I watched that tag match, and I still don't see a super strong division here. So I think what you need to do is build a super strong champion and someone that doesn't look like they're going to lose the title. Because, just that. Like, we were talking earlier about Statlander, and when you think about what a prominent spot she has in that division, and I just look at it and go, oh, man, I don't know if she looks ready to be a champion. Maybe a champion in AEW is kind of like how this is built out. But all that being said, I think the better way to go with that is just keep making your champion look stronger, and then that'll help build the division going forward. So you've at least got one person that's your super strong competitor, and eventually someone's going to take her down and kind of take over from there. So give me Nyla Rose, even though I really like Shida.
Yeah, you really sold that one exactly how I would have. I think that the women have been just a little too interchangeable. The only ones you could name are Britt Baker and Nyla Rose, and one because she's the champion, and the other one because she's actually been having her character built.
Yep.
So at this point, I wouldn't again switch hands with the championship. You pick Nyla, so you gotta make her just an unstoppable force, and you don't make her unstoppable by losing in a no DQ match. She's the biggest woman on the card. She has to win.
Yep.
This is Nyla written all over it. Matt, let's save that for last. We got Moxley and Brody Lee. Moxley is the champion, but Brody physically has the belt on his person, which I love. What is the best case scenario for this match for the future of AEW? Best case scenario outcome here.
What do you have in mind? What the hell? You just throw what's the best case scenario and I got a fantasy bucket? You don't even have an answer ready?
No, I'm asking you the question. I didn't know. I thought I'd ask you and maybe piggyback your idea. It's just so here's what we're going between. Moxley is already over. People love him. Do we need to see him lose the championship though? He hasn't had it very long. He's had, one defense against Jake Jack. And then Brody Lee's just coming in with, not a whole lot. Oh, his one feud now is going to be Moxley. So
look, I think this is where you were going. Like, the Dark Order, what does that mean after they already don't function well with their old leadership? In regards to, like, it just not getting over at all. And then the only thing that they could really get over is the fact that they had a mystery leader, which ends up being Brody. Brody's been built very strong, but if he doesn't win this match, what is the ultimate goal of this faction? I think Jon Moxley is going to win this match, but I wonder if it's better to have a longer feud here, and maybe have Brody. I don't know. Maybe it needs to end in DQ and Brody hangs on to this title and just walks away with it. Not as champion, but what he's continuing to do. And Moxley continues to try and fight to get his title back. So maybe it's considered a loss because Brody cheats, but he still hangs on to the gold. I mean, the way this faction, the Dark Order, is working out, I can see that going on. But I just... It's tough for me because I don't know if this faction can do well with a loss here. And I don't know how important the faction is to AEW. I assume it's pretty important, in which case eventually they should have a champion. But so far, without the Brody wins, the Dark Order's been an absolute joke. So
I think what we just did is make the case, what you just did is you made the case for this to not be the main event. That it's going to end in some shenanigans, that Moxley will still technically be champion and Brody might still leave physically with the belt. Because I of all these big guys that this company's, trying to build up, in a small capacity, the Luchasauruses, in a larger capacity, the Lance Archers, in a weird capacity, the Brody Lees. Brody Lee is the one closest to being the Undertaker, where he just, like, it would be an accomplishment just to have a good match against him, where he doesn't necessarily need gold to be interesting. If you're going to make him this weird religious character in like a white gold robe with all these followers in black, and it looks like Kingdom Hearts is going on behind him in the background, I don't think he needs a championship victory in his first match. So I don't think that his push would be wasted in a loss. It just, Moxley should win and leave the match on his back. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What do you mean? Like, I don't know. Of course, we've seen that happen a billion times. So what do you mean, Mike? You want him to squash Brody Lee is what you're saying. That's interesting. That doesn't work at all, Mike. You're crazy.
So this should not close the night, because I think that Brody Lee should just leave with the immoral victory, I guess, but not necessarily as the champion. So this should go on further. I think that Moxley and Brody definitely kind of, looked at each other in the locker room and said, hey, we can help each other out here. So I think that's what's going on. This should be a long-term feud. This should not be settled, in one night. Moxley wins, but not a clean, a win where he's just triumphant holding the belt over his head. And that brings us, Matt, to what could be match of the night. Cody versus Lance Archer.
Cody has been match of the night for every single one of these AEW pay-per-views. So Lance Archer, Mike, is going to walk away as looking like a superhero or a supervillain. Lance is going to take this. Cody's going down. And it's going to be beautiful. And we're going to love every minute of it. And it's going to be the one we're tweeting about for the next week. And we're going to be saying, man, Cody Rhodes is just Mr. Pro Wrestling. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, Cody just being, covered in blood for his brother, eating that god-awful chair shot from Shawn Spears to help him get over, doing his best, for the Darby Allins of the world, letting Jericho be champion there. you're right. I'm like giddy with anticipation to see how he helps this violent Lance Archer get over. Like, what kind of just god awful things he's gonna have, allow happen to his body. Because I think he's literally going to be like crumpled in half when Lance finally triumphs and becomes that TNT champion. So I think we're going to be in a real, in for a real treat come Saturday for this one. The only thing I do not want to see is Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake fighting each other. I wouldn't mind seeing Lance Archer like pummel Arn Anderson. Just give him one good, spine buster or something like that.
Yeah.
But please, for the love of God, do not have Jake the Snake eating bumps. I think that's all I ask. Just don't do that. I think they're doing a really good job with this Murder Hawk, Matt. I'm not ready to buy a T-shirt, but I think that it will be fun to watch him terrorize AEW for the weeks to come. So Cody is going to lay down for this guy, and I think we're going to be in for a pretty good show. And basically what we almost did is book heels all the way through.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oops.
That happened.
No, I picked
we
Luchasaurus.
picked Britt Baker, MJF, Sean Spears, the Inner Circle, Nyla Rose, Lance Archer, and Brody Lee.
Ooh.
We didn't pick any faces.
Oh, I still think Moxley's walking. He's gonna have a victory, right? I don't know. What am I arguing for? You're right. Heels should win a pay-per-view every now and then to help some stories move forward. All right, so everybody, check out bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com. I appreciate everybody that checked out the site in the last week because we had a huge bump. So thank you very much. Please, if you subscribe on the website, that's how you're going to get all the new episodes that pop up. If you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, again, just the Brothers of Discussion. It's brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. You get both this show and all of our hockey shows. Will go right on IGTV, but we also have a few clips that we'll throw in there as well. And then find us on every single podcast platform, including Apple, Spotify, Google Play. And if you go to anchor.fm/brothers of discussion, you can see everything there. And if you could, please subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Even if you don't have an account and you are a fan of the Brothers of Discussion, it helps us out a great deal. We'd love to see some more reviews, see some more comments go up there. And and enjoy Double or Nothing. I think last year at this time we were talking about that being one of our favorite pay-per-views in years. Not to just sound like AEW slappies, but it really did bring back like that, oh my god, this is what having fun watching a pro wrestling event feels like. This will be very different from last year's Double or Nothing with no crowd, and that does a lot of the selling for AEW. But, I think this will be a good, round 2. Maybe this is really them, Double or Nothing. Cody throwing all of his cash down because there's nothing left after having no fans for a few months. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in, and I get the stop recording ready, and I'll say bye, everybody.